Hello and welcome to Show Up Stand Out online visibility series for entrepreneurs. My name is Juliette Stapleton and I'm a visibility strategist. Today I am bringing you someone very special and someone who shares a lot of views that I have on building your visibility on Facebook or Instagram. So she's sharing it with me. Her name is Courtney Loechl. Hi, Courtney.
Hi.
And Courtney is a make shit happen coach. I absolutely love this. For those who are ready to turn the dreaming into doing. Brilliant. Courtney, how are you today?
I'm so good. Thank you for having me. Can't wait to talk.
I am so delighted you're here. So tell me and the audience, just in short, how did you end up being a make shit happen coach? I love this. I love this title.
It's so good, right? It just sums it all up. So the nutshell is that I lived a really non-normative life throughout my entire 20s and into my 30s. So I lived all around the world, did a lot of cool jobs. My background is now in hostel management, and so I've been managing hostels. I was a hostel consultant, and I just saw so many people, both through traveling, through festivals and life, who had so many dreams and inspirations and ideas, but they weren't putting them into action. Something was holding them back. And I realized for me, doing what I want to do just comes natural. It's just what I do. But other people need a little bit of a kick in the butt. And so it became my biggest passion to help people put their dreams into action. So that's how it came about.
It's so funny because I am a doer as well myself naturally, but it doesn't mean that for people like us, everything just happens. It's still an effort that we have to put in. We still have to, just like anybody else, force yourself into doing anything, and the brain sabotages and says, maybe you should cancel this interview. Maybe you should cancel this meeting. You don't want to have your coaching today. And that's just the brain. We're exactly like everyone else, but the difference is that we just make shit happen and we do regardless of what the brain says.
Yes.
And then people like us have to inspire the rest, because it's kind of a scary thing to do at first, but then you just make a habit of it, right? So it's quite simple. So what happens when you're yourself on social media? How did you, I know that for you and for me as well, it was kind of a natural thing, but not straight away, right? How did the start of your visibility happen?
So I think for me, it started more, typical, natural, where I would just share my life as I would travel or do different things. And I would notice people really following, being like, oh, that's so inspiring. I wish I could do that. And it was kind of from that I was realizing, well, you can do this. Like, everyone can be doing these things. And it's exactly what you just said. Like, we're not any different. Like, I've got all the crap in my head, but it's choosing and finding the right tools to help me to move forward, whether that's my own business coach, whether that's, different accountability strategies, all the things. And so it kind of turned from just sharing my life into realizing I could create a bigger impact by sharing more of the behind the scenes. So how was I doing these things? What was I going through while I did it? Not just the highlight reel, but the ups and the downs. And so it really became just critical to me that people saw social media in a little bit different way, that it wasn't just a highlight reel, but I could share the raw and the real behind it. I had people look at my life traveling and be like, I'm so jealous. And I remember looking at Facebook being jealous that someone bought a bath mat because they were grounded somewhere long enough to live and have a bathroom to decorate, where I was moving all the time. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so obvious to me now that we need to share more than just the business, or more than just the travel, or more than just whatever it is, but everything behind it.
It is so true, and it's very deceptive when somebody is following, say, an influencer, and all they hear is all these big things. Oh, I made 7 figures this year, or I made this year. Yeah, but you know what? There's a lot of things that are not said, or the struggles usually are not as highlighted. And I am like yourself. I prefer actually knowing and seeing the vulnerability, and I prefer also sharing with people. That's why I have a speaking event that I do twice a week on my personal profile, Fearless Planet, and that's where I share whatever. And usually, because I'm a founder and I have a privilege of coming up with topics every week, it's what's happening. If I can't lose weight and I'm resisting, that's the thing I'm going to talk about. Yep. Or, if something else, and if I have an aha moment, that's what I'm going to talk about. So it just works a little bit better in terms of building the trust. Mm-hmm. And then when you're So like yourself, when you feel that people are following you, you feel in a way responsible into educating them how to do this the right way. And the right way is not some sort of, creating a persona or creating a cult. You create a cult by being yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And I will say, for anyone watching who's like, I don't know, I'm afraid to like be vulnerable or be myself or, not put the perfect picture out there. The number one feedback I get back from people about my content, and these are also just people that are just following for fun even, is they love how raw and real I am. I consistently get messages from people being like, thank you for sharing so openly the good and the bad, because it makes people feel less alone. It makes people trust you more. From a moral standpoint, like I want to do it just so people don't feel alone and they get that like I'm there too. From a business standpoint, hell yeah, I want to do it because people buy off trust and off love and familiarity, not off a perfect picture. And that goes for a service business or a product business. They're not just buying the thing or the service, they're buying you and what you bring to it. So how can they do that if they don't know you?
It's 100% true, 100%. And it's funny how you said, people are afraid to be vulnerable, because I have this ongoing challenge program where we're breaking, the barriers and going live, and we do that for 15 days. And one of my very dear students said once, she said, I don't know, I feel like this is going to bring some issues in me, and I have to deal with these issues there and then publicly. And that was her fear. And it was so amazing to see in a couple of days that fear just wasn't there, and she was natural, and she was laughing, and she was having fun, and she's actually admitted that she loves this. Because a lot of these things that you're assuming that you're going to feel, or you're assuming that you're going to do. And raw and real, I love this expression because that was a comment as well on one of my trainings that I did, and I think I did it in some sort of like a robe, like a bear looking robe, and I was just sitting there and it was late at night, and this girl said this was the best training I've ever seen, because you were just so real. It was like sitting with you and you explained everything. And I thought, you know what, this is it, because a lot of people say to me, Juliette, you're always so polished and you're always so good looking. And I'm saying I'm not good looking, is I have a good lighting is the key with these things. But it's not about being polished, it's not at all about being perfect, isn't it? It's really being yourself.
Yeah, like I will wear makeup, like I have makeup on today. I will say most of my Facebook Lives, I probably don't, because I like to go live when the moment strikes of like, ooh, I've got something I want to talk about. And that's very often when I'm not polished, when I've like rolled out of bed or I've been working all day in my pajamas. And so I'm like, you know what? It is more important for me to get my message out and to speak from a place of inspiration than to have it all like picture perfect, written out,
I find that just distracting. I actually find, yes, I have sometimes notes, I have a few notes here for our interview, just in case to remind me. But if I had everything written out, it would have been a disaster. In fact, I was testing this new teleprompter app today. I signed up as a beta tester to this new program, and I'm testing it, and then it's recording you while, you're reading the text. And I looked back at that video, and it was so unnatural. And I thought, there is no way I'm doing this. There is no way, because I'm not myself, and, strange expressions on my face just because I'm reading. So all these things, they are also distracting. And when people are afraid that, I don't know what I'm going to be talking about, well, brainstorm and think about it and have your notes. But you know what? In 12 months' time, if you do this regularly, it wouldn't be a big deal.
Right. And that's what I think I want people to know as well, is exactly that yes, at first it might be awful and you might be like, I don't know what I'm talking about. It might feel uncomfortable, but the only way you get better at something is doing it. So of course you're going to have to keep doing it, and it will become more natural. And I'm amazed at how many times like I'll, brainstorm a topic, maybe make a few notes. I'll go live and I will segue into like something completely different than I had thought of, because it just comes out of me. And, it makes sense. It's not like I'm way off in left field, but once in a while I will go off in left field, and then I'll just own it. And I'll be like, I know this is all over the place, but this is just what's coming into my head right now. And the thing people need to remember about something like Facebook Live is this isn't some pre-recorded professional interview at a TV station. Like, this is literally you in your phone in your kitchen sharing your message. So if you go off into left field or if you forget what you're saying for a minute, the audience is very sympathetic to that
Oh,
because
yes,
they're
yes.
like, hey, this is just you being you. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect.
And the funny thing as well is that even trained presenters and anyone who is trying, any celebrities, actors, when they're trying to be real on social media, they just go on live on their phone, and it's natural. It's just who you are. If you were talking to a friend, you would be the same way as as we are talking right now, you know. And guys, we haven't met before this interview. This is the first time we're meeting. I'm like Oprah. I very rarely know my guests beforehand, but I love this because this is the interaction, this is the energy of the first time meeting people. And of course, you know, I research my guests, and I invite people who I dig. I think my audience will have a lot of value, and definitely from Courtney's and her energy and the way she is. Courtney, actually, I have a question for you. In terms of using Facebook, what's your favorite way of using it, or what's your favorite platform? Is it a business page? Are you using business page, or you're doing it from the personal profile, and why?
So I actually don't have a business page at all. I don't even have a Facebook group. I do it completely through my personal profile. And this became partly because I already had a little bit of a following there just from like travels and things. But I just found that I could be my most real, authentic self on my own personal profile. And so I just consistently started sharing more and more and more on my profile. I started making things public instead of private because I thought I've got nothing to hide. I want as many people to see this message as possible if I'm going to talk about getting shit done or fear, overcoming fear. And yeah, so I completely use my personal profile, and I try to go live and post all the time. Consistency is huge. It's, as you said earlier, like, even though we're doers, we still have trouble. We still have those things. So, yeah, is it a struggle for me sometimes to be consistent? Absolutely. Do I keep pushing and making sure I'm doing it because it's important? 100%.
Yeah, that's it. That's the big difference, isn't it? You're just, it's like it's a permission you give yourself, and also commitment. You just say, well, I'm not just interested to make my dreams come true. I have to make them come true. And for the dreams to come true, you have to keep doing stuff without knowledge, without clarity. A lot of people are waiting for clarity, or they're like, when I'm ready. And I'm saying you're never going to be ready because, you know, all things, I always tell this story, you know, a lot of dreams came true in my life. When I was a kid, from the age of 3, I knew I have a soulmate somewhere, my other half. I knew I had to travel for it. And growing up, I'm from Estonia. Growing up economically, it wasn't the place where you can just pack your things, buy a ticket, airplane ticket, and go. It was expensive. And the way things happened in my life was completely not how I would have imagined them, both immigrating and then meeting my other half. They were in completely different ways. So you will never be ready simply because life doesn't work like that. You know, there is a way, but you don't know how it's going to happen. So what you need to do is you need to be doing stuff and then seeing like the puzzle pieces coming together, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what I always tell my clients, is that, you know, the universe rewards action. Like, you're not going to get more things happening until you've got the breadcrumbs. Like you said, like, you don't know how the puzzle pieces fit together until you take a step forward. So even if it's a wrong step forward, you're going to learn something. You know, I used to do this team building. I used to do corporate team building a long time ago. And there was a game where people had to try different things. And then if they made a mistake, they took the information back to their team. And you actually got 1 point for making a mistake because you learned something. It was only if the team made that mistake a second time that then you got points off because you didn't use the knowledge. And so it was such a poignant, like, yes, we have to make mistakes. We have to try to learn things to be able to move forward. So, yeah.
I think that the big mind block, a mindset block, is that people are afraid to make mistakes because they're afraid of the judgment that comes, you know, from some hypothetical people that's going to judge them just because they made a mistake or because they changed a direction. I have changed direction in the last 12 months. This is my visibility strategist is the third direction I've taken. They were not U-turns, they were variations, but I had no problem going and repositioning myself if I felt this was right. And I know people who are saying, but I am this, and this is not working. It needs to be just adjusted. The course needs to be adjusted, and then it's going to work, you know, and yet they're having such a problem with that. And I think that, you know, the most important thing is that you help other people, right? You know your ideal client, and you need to figure out the ways, not even the ways you help them, but it's the ways that they think that you're helping them. which could be different lingo. It could be different, just a different angle than you with your educated, not that they're not educated, but you're educated in your niche. So your brain operates on a much higher level to them usually. And I find the cool thing about the ideal client and how to position yourself, how to post for the ideal client. It really does depend on how flexible you decide to be. Isn't it?
Yeah, and I did an entire post a few months ago or so on changing your mind and all the different ways I've changed my mind and changed direction over the years. Exactly what you said. And I'm like, I never would have gotten to this point if I hadn't changed my mind here. And like, you are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to decide this isn't working, or maybe it is working in a traditional, typical way. Maybe it's bringing you a lot of money, or it's giving you the things you think you're supposed to have, but it's not feeding your soul. You're allowed to say, okay, then that's not actually working. I'm going somewhere else. As I said, I have a hostel management background, and for years I wanted to open my own hostel, and I thought it was going to be in this spot, and I was trying in this way, and I had to come to terms with that's not actually what I want at all. I want it in a totally different way. I still want a hostel, but now my wife and I, who's also my soulmate, she's my twin flame, so I hear you there. She and I are going to convert a school bus into a mobile hostel that's moving around the country. So
wow, this is so cool. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, so it's such a cool project where I'm actually in the middle of renovating our camper van that's going to be our tiny home while we build the school bus. So it's all in the works, but it's also been really important for me to have online visibility for that reason as well, because that's how we are going to sell the bus. Because it's going to move around all the time, we can't do a traditional booking channel where it's like, oh, this is where you book the hostel. We have to have a large social media following so they know where we are. So hell yeah, I'm going to keep sharing our story and sharing what we're doing and sharing the ups and the downs. I'll share stuff about the renovations and be like, I don't know what I'm doing right now. I'm not just sharing like, oh, look at the end result, because it's not real. Like, I'm trying to figure this all out just like everyone else.
That's right. Absolutely. And you know what? That behind the scenes stuff, it works so much better. We were discussing maybe talking about posting for your ideal client within the context of your own story and not just giving them a generic advice. And this is in a way part of it. If your ideal client is your future hostel visitors, this is something that I would absolutely love, watching this build and then getting so excited to actually even fly somewhere where you would be at that moment in time and hopping on a bus. So it's interesting. Can I just ask you this? This is a bit off topic. Well, it's not. It's on the topic what we're talking about. How many people can the bus accommodate at the same time?
It will be able to hold 6 guests plus my wife and I. So we'll have 2 triple bunk beds for 6 people plus shower.
That is amazing. And you would travel while you're staying in the hostel. You would travel around.
Yeah. So we're still figuring out all the logistics, but you will either travel with us or the bus will move spot to spot, and yeah, you'll join on. And so we'll be surf, snow festivals. We're huge festival people. So we'll be all over North America.
Sounds fantastic. It sounds fantastic. Actually, I just recently saw a documentary about this German couple who came to America and they renovated a bus. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? And they traveled all over Canada. They went from Canada. They wanted to go all the way down. And then in Mexico, the roads were so bad that the bus broke. So don't go to Mexico. That was the first thought that came to my mind. But oh my God, I'm jealous now that I'm not in North America for that, because this is something I would go for.
There is a couple doing it in Europe. Actually, their business is called Let's Be Nomads. So you can go check their bus out. They do Norway for their summer, and I think the Swiss Alps for winter. So when I first had the idea, there were no hostel buses around. They had just started their crowdfunding, and now they've been up and running. And now there's a few other hostel buses that have popped around. So lots of people have my idea as well, which is cool.
No, I think it's brilliant, and it is a good idea. I am someone who likes moving around. I get really bored. I would never stay a whole week in a hotel by the pool. It's just not my idea of travel at all. So this is something that just makes my heart beat. I'm like, yes, this is absolutely brilliant. Right. Well, look, on this, guys, I hope that you got value out of this, because we were talking about not being afraid, being real and raw. You know what I do with my bloopers? If I go live and there's a real bad blooper, I download that video, I cut it out, and I keep it. And I have to say, the bloopers are the ones that sell. even more.
Right?
You think you messed something up, but actually that's something, just, add it to the end of your produced video or something, and
Yeah.
people will love it. Because at the end of the day, it's all about personal connection, isn't it?
Yep. And if you're live and something goes wrong, don't delete the video after. Just own it. Just, I've had my dog go crazy barking in the middle of the live. I've had, all kinds of things happen. And I'm like, well, okay, we're live.
That's so funny. The very first live I tried to do, a picture, not this one, but a picture fell off the wall. The moment I started talking about it, and it was like, boom, the house blessed me. That was 15 months ago. So this picture is very, very well fixed on the wall. Extra glue and things.
Right.
But yeah, so but that's such an amazing memory. Now I have a little blooper from the first time I went on. This is something you have to own yourself. If you were in life, if you were doing something in life, and I don't know, if you were doing some sort of public speaking and you fell off the stage, life wouldn't stop then. You couldn't fight. You just have to get up, shake it off, and go back up on stage, right?
And people are going to remember more of how you reacted after than what actually happened. How did you handle yourself? Did you let it derail you? Or did you just be like, well, that was hilariously awkward. Here I am. Because that's what people want to connect with.
Yep.
You're probably going to get more trust and love from that, from just owning it, than if you, ran off stage. Like, who wants to hire a coach that's going to be like, oh God, I messed up and I'm out,
Of course, there's no such thing as perfect. I actually know that firsthand, because when I was a kid, I was in a lot of bands growing up. And when I was 13, we were playing somewhere in some summer camp, and I fell between, it was like a handmade stage, and I fell in a hole between some sort of boards. Nobody even noticed. I just got out, grabbed my microphone, and went singing again. Nobody noticed. Afterwards, I was asking, even my band didn't notice that. That's what happens when people are excited. Courtney, I am so delighted that we had this chat. Where can people follow you?
So you can follow me on my Facebook for sure. It's facebook.com/Courtney Loechl, my name. We can probably link to it. My Instagram is @PassportCourt with an underscore, so passport_court. And we have a Facebook page for the bus specifically, so you can check out the bus progress there, and it's facebook.com/thewanderbus. So like Wanderlust, but Wanderbus. So.
Perfect. Fantastic. Guys, thank you so much for watching this. If you have any questions, pop them in the comments. Myself and Courtney will come back and we will answer your questions. Follow Courtney on Instagram, join her, send her friend request, join the Wanderbus. I love the name. The Wanderbus page as well, and watch the progress. Courtney, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you. It was lovely. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And guys, everybody have a great day. Bye.